Hello everyone, welcome to Mean Life Studies. In this video, we are going to solve one more SQL problem as part of data analyst or data engineer interview preparation. You can see here that is question number 31. Given a table called famous having user ID and follower ID as two columns, find the famous percentage for each user, return user with the famous percentage. Okay, and it is also given famous percentage is defined as the ratio of number of followers a user has to the total number of users in the platform. Okay, so it is given a table called famous, you can see here, and this is the data, and it has two columns like user ID and follower ID. Okay, now I'm going to executing these queries. You can see here famous famous table having user ID and follower ID as two columns, and this is the data inserting into this table. Okay, now you can see here this is the data, it is a given data. Okay, now what we have to find, we need to find the famous percentage for each user, and it is defined as the number of followers a user has and divided by the total number of users in a platform. Okay, now if you see this table here these are the users which we have and their respective follower IDs. Okay, and these follower IDs also nothing but user IDs only, these are also users only, right? Okay, one has two follower, one has three follower, these are the two ID, this one. Okay, but three, there is no three, but that doesn't mean that three, this mean our user ID 3 has not ID, he didn't had any followers. Okay, 2 has 4, 5 has 1, likewise you can see. Okay, these are also user IDs only, but they don't have the followers, so that is the reason 3 is not having any follower, so it is not giving. Okay, you can see 6 has 2 followers, 8 has only one follower, that is 5. Okay, now he is asking to return the famous percentage for each user ID. How it is defining, it is defining as the total number of followers a user has divided by the total number of users in the platform. Okay, now in the first step what we have to find, we have to find uh, each user has some followers, right? And before that we need to know how many total users are in this platform. Okay, how can we find, see here user ID 1, user ID 2. Okay, if you count like we like user ID, how can you get it? Let's see, select count of distinct user ID. Okay, now if you execute this query, you can see you're getting invalid. Why? Okay, because of you're not selecting. Okay, from famous, you can see now the value. Okay, you can see that it is 5, right? But actually if you see this table select star from famous, you can see how many users are there. Actually one, it is counting only user IDs from this one, but these followers also nothing but user IDs only. Okay, so we have to consider these values also. So here we have 1, 2, 5 and 6, 8, right? But we are missing 3 and 4 because of 3 and 4 having, they don't have any followers. That is the reason it is not giving as user ID. But these are also user IDs only. These are also users. Those are using in, I mean those are in the same platform. Okay. So we need to consider these 3 and 4 also. How can you consider? So you have to return these are also as same column like users. Okay, let's return that. So for that, what I'm going to do here, I need to use this user ID as users from famous table. Okay, and also I'm using set operators, that is union. Okay, if you use union, it won't return any duplicates, right? Now I'm going to return this follower ID also nothing but users only, right? As users from famous. Okay. Now if I execute this query, you can see the total users are in this platform. You can get it, right? You can see these are the total platforms. I mean total users in this platform. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 8. These are the users are using in this platform. Okay. Now how many are they? Total of 8 users, sorry, 7 users. 7 is not there, right? So that is the reason it is total of 7 users. Now selecting count of users from this table, right? How many? That is you will get error. You can see because of I'm using subquery. For each subquery you have to use, for inner query you have to alias with some other name, right? So you can see that is total number of users 7, right? So uh, I'll use here CTEs. It is easy to use, so that is the reason I'm going to use CTEs. Okay, with CT as this one. Okay, select count of users as total number of users only, right? From CT. Okay, you can see total number of users in this platform, that is 7. Now what we have to find, we have to find the famous percentage for each user, right? So it is given, select star from famous. This is the table actually is given, right? Now for each user we need to find how many followers are there, right, in the second step. Okay, for that what we have to do, we have to use, we need to use group. We need to use aggregate function like count, right? Count of followers for each user ID. So that you have to use group by each user ID, right? User ID, and you have to count of follower ID, right? For each user, you are counting number of followers. Okay. From famous, you have to use group by, right? Group by user ID. Okay. Now, if you execute this query, you can see here, these are the users and these are the number of followers, right? So you can assign this as number of followers that each user has. You can see it, right? So first you found the total number of users in the platform, and the second you're finding for each user how many followers are there. Okay, likewise you can see it, right? So in the next step, what we have to do, we have to know for each user ID and for how many followers are there and how many number of users in the platform, right? So how can you get that? So this is one table like 7, right? But you are losing data like users, right? So in order to have those like number of users having number of followers and total number of users in the same table, what you have to do, you have to join on the basis of users, right? So for that what you have to do, you have to return selecting here, you're returning only count. Okay, but if we use here window function like select star comma count of users, okay, overclass, if I use overclass, what it will return, it will return the total number of users for each record, right? So for each record you can see this is the total number of users. Okay, now if you see here, if I execute both, you can see both tables. So in the first table you're getting users, in the second table you're getting user IDs, right? So these are the same users, right? So you are getting users with total number of users in the platform. Here user with total number of followers. So if we join these two tables, what you will get? You will get user IDs with number of followers, and if you want to return this one, you can return, right, total number of users. Okay. Now for that what we have to do, we have to return in such a way that those who are having the followers, right, for those only we can return, right? If we use here in the right side of this table, we can use right join or only inner join, because of these are the only one, right? Let's see that, and then we'll see these are the two tables. Now we need to join these tables on the basis of users. Okay, for that I'm going to use this entire this query as this one, this table as another CTE. Okay, CTE2 as this one. Okay, now if you see, select star from CTE2. If you execute this entire query, you can see this is the same table. Okay, now this table, next table I'm going to refer as CTE3 as this one. Now select star from CTE3, you can see this table, right? Okay, now what we have to do, we have to join, selecting CTE2, from CTE2, right? From CTE2 what we are selecting? Users, right? So I'm going to refer CT2 as C2 users, comma. Next, what we have to return from the CT2, that is total number of users. C2 dot total number of users from CT2, comma. From CT3, what we have to return? We have to return only the number of followers for each user, right? So we just returning only number of followers. C3 dot number of followers. Okay, from CTE to C2, assigning as C2, join CTE3 C3 on which basis? That is C2 dot users equal to C3 dot user ID, right? This is the CTE3, right? This one. Okay, now if I execute entire query, what is the error? Number of followers, invalid column name, number of followers. Let's see, there might be a spelling mistake, I think so. We'll check that. Select start from CTE3. Okay, if I execute this query, you can see number of followers. What we are using here, number of followers. Okay, here I'm just using follow, yes, I'm missing here R, so that is the reason it is getting error. Okay, now I'm just removing here. Now if I execute now entire, sorry, I'm just missing here R, so that is the reason it is getting error. Now if I execute, you can see here, so you are getting users with respect to total number of users in the platform and the number of followers that each user has, right? So if you want to arrange this in different way, like first you have to get users and number of followers, then you just place this in the last. Okay, now you can see your now users and number of followers. This means this is nothing but user ID only, right? You can refer this as user ID. Okay, you can see user ID, number of followers, and total number of users in the platform. Okay, then what we have to find? We have to find the famous percentage. How it is defined? It is defined as the total number of followers that each user has divided by total number of users in the platform, right? So this entire query I'm going to assign as one more city. Okay, that is here we are going to assign CTE4 as this one. Next, we are just finding percentage of, I mean famous percentage, user ID, comma, it is defined as number of followers divided by total number of users only, right? Users from this table, that is CTE4. Okay, now if I execute this entire query, you can see you are getting 0. Why? It is by default, it is not returning float values, it is returning integers, right? So that is the reason it is taking as 0. Okay, now I'm going to use here 1.0. Let's see that. Now you can see the values, right? So it is asking for famous percentage, right? So you have to multiply with 100. Okay, now for each user ID, and this is, I'm going to refer this as famous percentage. Okay, you can see here for each user ID and their famous percentage number. Okay, now if you want to round it, you can round it off, round up to 2 decimals. Okay, round off to 2 decimal. I'm sorry, you can see it, right? Or else if you want to cast it to integer, you can also do that. Okay, cast off this entire as integer. You can see it, right? For each user ID, this is the famous percentage. Okay, I hope you understand this problem.